Welcome to the Next Level Digital Podcast. Today I'm speaking with Steve Perry with the Well Recruiting Solutions. Steve, thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule.
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. Good to meet you. Good to be
Yeah,
on.
yeah, likewise. I'm looking forward to getting in and just hearing about your business. And we talked a little bit beforehand. I know said you got some good technology going on. You're in the wealth management space, recruiting for wealth management. So maybe you can just tell me a little bit about your background, what you were doing before this, what got you into this, and just tell us about your business.
Yeah, so I started as a financial advisor when I was 20 years old, so it's basically the only industry that I know. I worked for 5 years doing that, and then I spent 12 years recruiting new advisors and building teams and then building offices. And so I've interviewed thousands of candidates myself, helped coach develop hundreds of them, led from an executive standpoint for many, many years. And 2 years ago, I left all of that to start the Well Recruiting Solutions. And so the world I came from was recruiting commission only for the insurance broker dealer. So, they're selling life insurance and doing investments and retirement planning. That's about the hardest recruiting pitch that you can do. And actually the first year of the Well, that's who we worked for, was guys and gals running firms like that. And so we had built out a call team of over 30 people making 5,000 plus outbound calls a day to find candidates for that space. And so we really learned a lot. We got a lot of data. We got a lot of information. We have every, I'll just tell you this, you'd appreciate this. We have every Zoom meeting, thousands and thousands of interviews, still recorded and transcribed. And so the amount of information and data that we have about the industry and what candidates are looking for and who they are is really astronomical. That's the background and the genesis to where now we work with independent wealth management firms, anywhere from a couple $100 million in assets up to 20, 30 billion plus in assets. And we're visiting with some that have over 100 billion in assets. So that's the space that we work in, anything from the entry level, person at the front door, all the way to licensed service assistants. Certainly about half of what we do is recruiting advisors for firms, and then executive C-suite as well.
Okay, yeah, interesting. I was going to ask that, are you recruiting advisors, insurance agents, or are you doing other stuff? So you're filling all kinds of positions. You're filling those full-time positions, and then you're filling kind of like the salesman type positions.
Yes. So it's interesting. One thing I learned about the wealth management, particularly the independent wealth management industry, and I know you spend a lot of time in the insurance space, and where I came from, right, where the insurance agent or the advisor was really, they wore so many hats. They were that solopreneur. So they're doing lead gen, marketing, business development, sales, building the plans, presenting it, customer service, everything, all the way through, which is how the financial services industry has been for so long. But what's happened is these independent wealth management firms, they've started to professionalize and really match what every other industry does, where there's a lead generation department, there's a marketing department, there is a business development department. Advisors, they have multiple kinds of advisors. Ones who are a little more sales oriented. They bring the new client in, they tell them about all the services, they get them to move the assets over. But then they also have the service advisors who are there, and these are kind of the practitioners that just love people and they're a little bit nerdy about what they do, and they love finance. And so they're actually meeting with the clients. They would be more of the fulfillment side, and they're meeting with clients on a regular basis and taking care of them. They've got investment operations, so the guys that are actually professionally picking and building the portfolios. So obviously not every firm has all of those distinct roles, but many of them are starting to build that. So that's where we're coming in, and frankly, a lot of what we're doing is going to where the legacy organizations where that advisor had to wear all those hats, and finding, meeting with them. And obviously, they're, in a lot of cases, they're not thriving, and that organization labels them as failing, which is super, super sad, because they're really gifted at a certain aspect of the job. They just have to do all the aspects of the job. So we identify what that is, and then find them a firm that has that hole, and we put them there, and the firm pays us to do that.
Okay, awesome. So you've got kind of different firms you're working with. Depending on the candidate that you're talking to, you kind of propose different opportunities depending on kind of maybe the holes in their business or what they're looking to achieve. Okay,
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
And so you said you started out in the financial services space yourself and kind of slowly shifted into doing this. Were you in a corporate environment, did you say before? You were,
Yes,
right?
I was at New York Life Insurance Company for 17 years. And so I was an advisor with them for the first 5 years of my career and then worked my way up. Where I was a partner, where you're recruiting and building your own team of advisors, senior partner, and then ultimately a managing partner, where I ran an entire firm of advisors for them.
Okay.
So I did that for 17 years and then left and then started the Well.
Okay. Well, it's nice that you've been able to leverage all of your past experiences into what you're doing now. Like, for sure, you're going to know all the pain points of all these different groups that are hiring you, right? Like, you know what they need, you know what they're looking for, so you can relate on that aspect, but also you can relate on the aspect of the individual producer, let's say, or candidate, and say, hey, I know where you're at, I know what the challenges are. Why don't we
Yep.
get you in a plugged in with a group where you can excel? And I really liked your perspective too, because in this space, what is it, 90+% fell out, so it can be tough. And oftentimes it can be that, hey, they have certain skill sets, but there's other aspects like they can't wear every single hat effectively.
Yep.
Oftentimes people come in and they may develop some form of sales ability, but they're not like business minded. They don't know how to treat what they're
Right.
doing as a business. So to get plugged in with another group that can be like, hey, we've got X, Y, and Z covered, so you can focus on doing this over here. I could see that being super valuable.
Yeah, 100%.
How valuable do you think it is, in your perspective, to with your experience? Like, what kind of insights do you think you bring to it, or do you feel like it's pretty valuable that you know the pain points of those groups when you're talking to people?
Yeah, so to your point earlier, Sean, about talking about, they may have a specific capability or skill set, but it's not being an entrepreneur, not owning a business. I started this to build a business, so I did not want to be the expert. I did not want to be like the person doing all the things. So my focus in building this company, as soon as I saw myself doing a role, I got to hire someone to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, my background and perspective and experience helped form the thesis for the company. And certainly I get to step in on a daily basis with my team and be, a resident expert on certain areas. But we've grown so far beyond this. We've got 14 people on our team now. In recruiting, I have a full-time AI developer, I have a full-time software developer, and then our business development team. And the business development team has years more experience in this niche than I do.
Yeah.
And we've been very blessed with that. So all that to say, to form the company, yes. To understand there's a huge need and opportunity, yes. But now the team has really taken on the expertise in and of themselves to learn. I have founders that I'm still having strategic conversations with, and frankly, I have to get briefed from my team before I'm able to be an expert on what's actually happening day in day and out to the industry.
Yeah, that's great. So you've definitely built it up, and your experience and understanding it, but also just your drive. Like you said, like a lot of people don't come in thinking I need to build a business. They get an opportunity. Hey, you can build wealth by doing these things, offering these services. But to have that goal of I'm going to build a business, I think is somewhat of a rare. I think in their minds they think that's what they're going to do, but a lot of people don't execute it. So you've even built up to where you've got a developer on your team. So I guess you're using all kinds of technology. Maybe speak about how technology has helped your business. What initiatives are you working on? What's been beneficial to you in the technology space? And I do want to get to AI too. A big piece of what I want to talk about is, are you leveraging AI? How has AI helped you in your business, or not yet?
Yeah. So I left the corporate, Fortune 100 world when ChatGPT was just starting. I think we were like 8 months into that really becoming prevalent. I had used like Jasper and other tools like that prior to ChatGPT. So I don't want to say I'm not a tech nerd, but like from a user case standpoint, I was typically trying to be on the leading edge of that. And yeah, as you can imagine, in the Fortune 100, they're more concerned about getting sued than they are making money. So, and rightfully so, they could lose a lot more money than they could make by basically any decision they make. So I get that, but I wanted to build a tech forward company. Where we revalue people, we know and are able to identify and are consistently working to identify where are humans never going to get replaced, and then as quickly as possible exploit the other stuff. and help our people be successful for the technology, the continuous technology wave, to where they recognize, even maybe they don't know, but help them recognize, here's where your highest and best and only use is going to be in the future. So let's get there as soon as we can, and then let's augment with technology. So it's been on the forefront. I think we went through 50 different technology vendors in the first 16 to 18 months of the company, trying to build the best tech stack we could, and you know, obviously vetted 2 or 3 times that many, but we wrote a lot of checks, and man, you know, but we don't have investors. We're bootstrapped. And that's frankly one of the things I tell our customers. Like, I've spent over $500,000 just figuring out, yes, the technology stack we use now, it seems a little bit obvious if you knew what it was. But we had to figure out a lot of things that didn't work to get to what is the best. And so that's one of our value props. And I don't necessarily share the secret sauce on that.
Sure. Yeah. So when you're using technology and all, you know, through all the trial and error, everything, are you using technology now in large part in your recruiting endeavors, or are these services or software that also, like, you're assisting other people in utilizing? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, we thus far have made the decision to not be to not sell technology. Technology is an enabler for us. So all of it is developed for in-house use. I mean, my AI architect has given me 3 things he's coded and developed that he's like, Steve, you could patent this. OpenAI spends $1 billion a year on waste on what I've just built for you. You should sell it. And I'm like, A, okay, it's probably not that much, but B, like, that's not the business we're in. We're hyper focused on our vision, which is 100,000 placements by 2030 in the wealth management industry. And so everything we're building is to help us do that quicker, faster, and to a higher level of quality.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've got goals, and that's one of the things I want to talk about. So by 2030, you want to have 100,000 placements, you said. So that's what is that going to be? 30,000 or 25,000 over the next 4 years? 2026, 7, 8,
Well, we
9,
get all of 2030.
20,000?
We get all of 2030 as well. So 26, 27, 28,
Okay.
29, 30. 5, so 20,000 a year. But, you know, it's scaling. I mean, like, next year will be 1,000. So we're just, you know, entering that curve. So it's going to
Yeah.
scale.
Yeah, that's awesome. So again, this is like technology that you're using that's helping you to achieve those goals of your business to scale, to like get the right candidates in front of you, to get them placed, like vetted, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Is that your main focus with it?
Yes. And
Okay.
and we're building, we have what's called our candidate vault, which will be a tool that we will market. And so, you know, we talk to, I'll just give you some numbers, right? So for a client that says, hey, we need you to hire us a lead advisor in Memphis, Tennessee. All right, we're gonna take and we're gonna do a 45-minute fact finder with that client after they're closed. Like, that's with the recruiting team on everything about the firm, everything about the client, our client, everything about the candidate they're looking for, culture, the soft skills, the job description, but everything else. And then we're, you know, using some of our tools, we're able to distill that into searchable, both from keyword search, but also semantic search. That's vectorizing our semantics has been something that's really been a breakthrough for us. So it's not just like looking for the keyword, but the intent of around the keyword through our databases that we've built, and come up with a short list of about 100 candidates, and we're going to reach out to all of them. And that's, you know, that's old school phone calls, text messages, emails, everything we got to do to LinkedIn messages to get a hold of them. We'll have 30 or so conversations. Of those 30 conversations, we'll take 8 to 12 of them to an actual video recorded interview. That's where I talked about all of our candidate interaction has been transcribed and recorded and ingested into our data lake. From there, we're only going to give 3 to 5 to the client. But from that, we're identifying another 10 candidates that we would say we would put our mark, the well mark on, and say this is a candidate we'd like to represent. Well, that goes into our vault. And so we're creating software application where then clients will actually be able to essentially go do anonymized shopping for the kind of talent that they're looking for inside of our vault. So there will be kind of a SaaS solution in that, but augmented by all human touch. And so that's one of the projects we're working on right now.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So would this be, you said the word SaaS, is this going to be like kind of a monthly subscription, kind of like if you had like an Indeed, account to go scan? Okay.
It'll probably be the way I have it envisioned. As we move more enterprise, it will be an add-on. It can be a low ticket sale for like clients that are just kind of shopping, that we can then, once we see activity in there and know what they're looking for, then we can upsell them for our actual human touch, human search. But then for all of our enterprise level clients, it will be a value add that they have access to.
Gotcha. So so you're obviously representing different size businesses. They're, with a certain amount of assets under management or something, right? But if you have an individual advisor that's looking to get placed somewhere, do you offer a service for them too if they wanted to reach out to you? Like, do you work both ways, top down and then, bottom up?
Yeah, great question. So that's where the vault comes in. So yeah, we have a formal intake process with them, and then we'll market them to our client database or our prospective client database. After we do that video cover letter, we will market them. Lots of people have told me I should charge for that, and I recognize there's a lot of value that's gone into creating that process for them, and ultimately, if they get placed, that's a huge deal. But I just think that's a distraction from our mode, or our vision of getting to 100,000 placements.
Yeah.
Because our candidates are our clients. That's why not everyone gets to be a candidate of ours, and that's what helps us with our brand is we represent elite talent.
Yeah, interesting. So really, you're making your money by the bigger organizations that are looking to source new candidates, and you're saying, hey, I don't want to charge the individual. I'm going to help them, but at the end of the day, it's going to benefit everybody anyway because I'm servicing my clients up here, helping this person down here. Really, I mean that you're doing that handoff and that handshake, right? So whether or not you're charging this person, it's fine because the handshake's still happening. You're still essentially brokering that deal, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then, think about this, right? So probably a third of the candidates that we have in our vault are director to executive level. And so when those are decision makers, once they get placed inside of a firm, well, who do you think that firm's going to use to help them with their talent acquisition in the future, right? So it's not just a one-off. It also has, a longer play associated with it. And again, then we just become the only name in the business.
Yeah, I love that. So what are you doing? So how do people find you? Like, are you advertising? Are you on Google? Are you on social media? Or like, how are you advertising your business?
Yeah, so this is my third stab at business development. First team I built, we went, and actually it's probably more like my fourth or fifth. We've done huge cold email campaigns with the whole tech setup, all of that. I've built an SDR and BDR team, cold calling, outbound, Apollo, everything. I've hired a RevOps professional that's scaled startups to 50 million before and built a domestic sales team with that. All of the, literally nothing, not a dollar of sales from any of that. And that probably speaks to my abilities. I sold every single piece of business the first 23 months we were a company, which was millions of dollars of orders, and it wasn't finally until, frankly, in a time I was praying for our company, and I just felt God say, call this person and say you're looking for someone just like them. And so I'm like, all right. I just fired my whole sales team. I don't know that we're ever going to build it. Okay, Lord, I'll do that. So I did, and the guy was like, okay, yeah, super interesting. And about an hour later, he texted me. He's like, hey, I don't know if you were talking about me, we need to talk further. And this guy's been in the business 30 years. He knows every one of our ideal clients. He has relationships with all of them. His calendar is stacked morning till night by just his relationship because of who he is. So we acquired his network. That's what we did. We acquired his network. By bringing him on board, he makes 3 times as much money as I do, and then we paired it with a solution that we knew everyone in his network needs, and they're dying for it. So in the future, right, that's the strategy. So I mean, yes, I have robust social, right? I do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. We market our candidates, so I'll share a lot about, we do emails to subscription list of people that have said, hey, I'm interested in candidates. So we market our candidates. That's about the only thing that we do, though. We don't do any, I mean, we're on Google. We have, I don't know, 50 reviews. But a great website. I think we've done a good job in that. But no, we're not doing any like outbound marketing.
So this is fairly organic, like almost word of mouth. Like you've built some relationships, you acquired kind of this network, through that other relationship. But this is
We have some affiliate partners.
Okay,
We have some affiliate partners.
Gotcha. And are they pulling from pools of, just curious how this space works, but are they pulling from pools of like newly licensed people? Like where do those people come from, just the people that, the candidates that you have come in, like if you're not, say, posting on Facebook, hey, looking for an attractive career and blah, 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 or on LinkedIn or on Indeed or something like that. Like generally, how do these, how do people find out, or how do people end up in your network to even start vetting them and for placement?
So when we're looking for candidates, we do post that on LinkedIn Recruiter. For some, entry level, we do a little bit on Indeed, but most of our placements are coming from outbound. So that data that we've purchased and the stack that we've built that gives us real-time insights, our recruiting team's outbound efforts from that.
Gotcha. So you talked a lot about data, and I'm a huge data and analytics person. I did more of it. So unlike you, like I got into not so much the financial advisor space, but into the insurance space just because I wanted to be an entrepreneur again. So an entrepreneur in the past, I got into real estate, then I got into a corporate real estate job, and I did that for a while, and then got the entrepreneurial itch again, got into insurance, and then that kind of molded into CRM and then automations and ads, and now I'm doing digital marketing for insurance and other businesses, leveraging what I've learned. But I've always been a huge fan of data. In the real estate company that I worked for, we were spending hundreds of millions of dollars on single family homes. I was on as an acquisitions manager, so we were buying single family homes all over the country, including in Phoenix, where you're at. And data was a massive piece, and I got to do some analytics stuff in that, basically in Power BI, which was awesome. It gave us insight into everything we were doing on the acquisitions process, on the disposition, selling homes, and then on the rehabilitation stuff, like construction and all that stuff. For your business, you said you got this data lake, you've got this, you really are leveraging technology, and you have big plans for leveraging it even more. But maybe you could talk a little bit about what's the value of data for your business? Like, how do you view it, and what do you think your business would be like if you weren't data minded?
Yeah. I would say I underestimate how important it is right now. I know it's super important. It's been from the beginning. In my mind, because I know where we can go, I feel like we're not doing very much. We're not doing as much as we could, but you're kind of always going to be there. So how important has it been? It's super important for, if you think of like the GTM, the go-to-market kind of vernacular that has become pretty popular the last handful of years in the tech space and all the startups, right? They need a GTM expert, right? Who's gonna be our go-to-market expert? That's basically what we are every time a client hires us. We need to be able to go to market with this position that they're looking to hire for. And we have the data for that because every role is unique. It's got, as you know, there's licenses involved, there's background checks involved with different federal organizations, there's performance levels that are often quantified and new assets gathered, and then being able to speak specifically to the person that we're going to market to get, in a way that cuts through the noise of the millions of ads they see all day long, and using all of the channels for that, right? The data for how do we get to their different channels, right? That's a whole industry in of itself, to get their phone number and then get their cell phone number and get their email address and get their LinkedIn. How do we get a hold of them on social? All of those things, that's super relevant. But then we pay for it, right? We've already paid for most all of that. How do we reuse it again and attribute it in a way that we never have to pay for it again? Mm-hmm. That's a big deal as well. And then um, sales enablement. Well, I mean, we do two sales jobs, right? We've got business development, and then recruiting is sales too. So we're basically selling our ability to sell people
Yeah.
into a job, and salespeople don't like CRMs, and so we have a CRM, but we're really trying to. That's really a placeholder so that we can move to operate in more of a data lake environment where it's going to we'll use NLP to be able to just speak to an interface, and not build our own interface, right? We're building it on the back of Microsoft, and so using the tools we use every single day, not putting salespeople in, giving them blocks of time that they have to update their CRM, right? Like, but they could just do their job, and it does it naturally. And frankly, the vision is that all they are doing is this all day, every day. As much as their introvert or extrovertedness can handle interfacing with people over video or over the phone, and then have everything else automatically set up those appointments with them.
Yeah, I love that concept. As someone that helps a lot of people with CRM, you're right. I mean, most people don't want CRM. It's like a necessary evil, you know. If they didn't have it, they'd be woefully disorganized. But a lot of people would rather something that's much more natural, intuitive. What's your vision of that? Like, I think that's in large part where AI is taking things, to be a lot more intuitive.
Yeah.
But have you thought through, like, what does that look like? Or, do you think the tools are available now, or do you think it's going to be in the next several years?
So my COO is really leading the charge on this. So his background, he was an aerospace engineer, turned fintech startup COO, and so he's not a CTO, and he's not. We're learning very quickly where we're not. That's one of our next hires. We're not able to even really manage the talent that we have. He's gotten by. But I really leave that vision. I don't want to say leave that vision, but he's been able to best articulate it. One of the things he says, his name's Brandon Murphy. One of the things he says is how legacy CRMs that have, HubSpot, Salesforce, whatever, they have taken to AI by bolting AI onto what they have already. And so it doesn't start, and you're in the space, so you probably know a lot more of the startups that are taking a different approach to this. But and we have to, currently we have to, because we still have to operate out of something today. So we use Zoho, and we love Zoho because it's so customized. Well, number one, it's affordable for us to scale as a startup. Number two, it's so customizable to easily do and create any kind of automations and things that we need. And then it's very easy to get the data out of it into our data lake that we're building. So I'll give you an example. So ultimately, I'd like it to just be a chat interface. A couple prototypes I've seen, our developer has built just a Teams integration where we can interface with the CRM from that, and then ultimately the data lake. And then we've built a native app that's actually a sub-site on our website where we have, it's a lot more robust of a chat that... what we see, we just revealed this to our team today, but it is vectorized all of our candidates so that our team can be like, hey, I just got a new job in Seattle, Washington, and just here's the transcription from my intake call with the client. Who do we already have in our database that would be a good fit for this? And then it will go and grab all of that and say, hey, you should talk to John and Joe and Jill and Pam. Here's why. That's an example.
Yeah, okay. So these are contacts that are already in your platform, say Zoho, but you're interfacing with that data in such a way that it can kind of go through all the different fields that you have in there and to kind of filter and think through it for you.
Yes, my understanding is it has taken what's in the field and adds context around that to put it into our Azure database, and then it can query that, not just the keyword, but what the keyword actually means, what the transcript actually means, to then pair the two things up.
Yeah, that's interesting. You're probably like, why are you asking me these technical questions? And it's just because I'm a nerd and I'm just curious.
This is your world. I can't get any deeper than that, so don't go any further.
No, I won't. Yeah, that's just interesting to me. I love thinking through how technology, it's transforming every business, but I'm not really I'm not a super, I don't code. I'm not I'm not an engineer, but I'm pretty good at stringing technology together, and that's what's exciting to me is like making systems talk, automating, leveraging data, leveraging this AI tool so that you can, similar to what you're talking about before. I just think it's what makes me love what I do. Is just like, hey, how can we leverage all this to make your business more impactful, to get those salespeople, like the people on your team,
Yeah.
doing what they're good at instead of sitting there clicking through CRMs or whatever it is, all the
Yep.
different constraints.
Yep.
Um, Speaking of constraints, like where do you feel like what's the biggest obstacle for you in your business to grow for growth, over the next couple of years or even right now? Like what do you think? You've got ambitious goals, you've got goals, which is huge. It's amazing how many people I talk to that don't really have, much of a goal that they're aiming towards. But what do you feel like the biggest constraints are, and what are you working on to overcome those?
Yeah. So it's interesting being, this will bring a little bit of, I don't know, personal finance, personal development into, the business of business, right? So my philosophy the last 2 years in the business has been put every dollar back in. Like I didn't take a dollar out of paycheck for 24 months. Um, we moved our family from Minnesota to Phoenix just this summer, and so it's just been reinvest, reinvest, reinvest. Because again, that 100,000 placement, that represents a lot of things that we want to accomplish.
Hmm.
And so the more money we put back in, the faster we're going to get there. Um, and so we've arrived at a point now where our team is a certain size. I think the capacity of our team is $1 million a month in revenue,
Hmm.
and we're at, call it 15% of that, and we just keep hitting our head on the ceiling there. And so
Hmm.
a few things are emerging. Number one, for the first time, we need to like optimize before we scale any further. So we're pausing a lot of the projects that a CEO works on, right? We're getting ahead of the game and helping bring us there, right? We're pausing a lot of those projects.
Yeah.
We're focusing and doubling down on making our operations extremely efficient and make sure they're top notch. And we're putting our best people in the day to day of that. That, so from business standpoint, right? As we want to grow and scale, we want to scale something that is excellent. Number two, like my family, like they've been on this journey for a couple of years. Like they're like, all right, we need we need the family to pay off from this a little bit now too. Which reaching even a percentage of that potential will help us do. And so that's just kind of the real life of where we're headed and where we're going right now. The constraint is we need to reach the potential that we have from what we've built, and I think it's only a 30 to 45 to 60-day project.
Hmm.
So then from there, that will allow everything to work well, right? Steve's
Yeah.
family is living well, right? They've got a home and a house and not a temporary place we're living.
Yeah.
Same with my partner, right? He's made a lot of sacrifices as well, right? Allowing this family to do that. We know that we know our recruiting operations are moving effectively, and then when we take and pour gas on it, we know that when it's 10 times that size, it's a phenomenal thing that's 10 times that size.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our next 60 days of what we're doing, moving into 2026,
Hmm.
where then our goal really is to be about 15 times what we did this year in revenue next year.
Okay. Awesome. So it sounds like it's really like, hey, we've got all these team members. We've scaled this up for the last couple of years. I mean, to go from one or two employees like you and somebody, let's say, I don't know how exactly it was, to how many said 14, 18 on the team
14,
now?
yeah.
14 on
Yeah.
the team now. And then getting everybody grooving, right? Getting the whole process, all your systems, all your technology. That's what it sounds like you're working on over the next 60 days, something like that, so that you can then put fuel on the fire and get that engine. Trying to mixing analogies, but you're throwing
Yeah.
coal. You can throw more coal in the engine and get that train running at a higher, you know,
Yeah.
higher rates. Awesome. Well, one thing. So before we wrap up here, you've been in it. Like this is still, pretty much a startup, right? Last couple of years, you're growing. You're growing quick. It sounds like you've got really ambitious goals. You've put together a team. You've got a lot of vision. Um, What advice like would you give to someone like an entrepreneur wanting to just start something out? You're 2 years into this particular project, this business that you're working on now. Um, what advice do you have for entrepreneurs that are like starting out?
Yeah, there are two key skill sets that are required to make a business work, and that's sales and operations. And I have not met very many at all people that are able to do on a high level both of those things. Um, and so my recommendation is to figure out which one of those are you and how far can you get on your own, and then bring in the person with that complementing skill set. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you our example, right? I know that I am not the operations guy. I'm the vision guy. I'm the sales guy. I'm the networking guy. I'm the relationships guy. Um, I have between a 1 hour and 1 month attention span. And so I know that's not going to go very well if we want to be excellent in delivering. But I didn't want to give away half of my company when I started, and I didn't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars on an executive salary when I started too. So I built an MVP to the best of my ability. I went and sold and got clients that were paying bills, and we were delivering on them. And I did that for a few months, and then I found my partner. I found our COO, and painted the vision for him with, here's actually what's going on now. Here's where we're heading. I have something other than a piece of paper to show you. Then let's partner on this. And candidly, that meant that I didn't have to give a whole half of my company away. And it candidly meant that I didn't have to come up with 10, 15, 20 grand a month for salary as well. And I would just say that was strategically probably the best decision I made starting the company, the best realization that I made, and the only reason that we're here today as a company. I'll tell you, my partner has done an incredible amount of work. He's probably put twice as many hours into this business as I have. He was a very hard worker and, in so much of the weeds. But I have sold every single dollar of revenue that we've had in this company through all the different things. And frankly, I could have, you made a comment earlier, I could have kept a lot of that revenue and just been a small solopreneur and fulfilled it myself and made a lot more money in the short term, but was not a short-term vision. And so now we're in a season where I have a sales team. I get to do a lot of CEO. I get to have podcast conversations and vision and high-level strategic meetings. And he's in a season, as I alluded to earlier, where he's going into the day-to-day of every call and candidate intake and client intake to make this company excellent. But I couldn't do that. So having that, knowing which one you are you sales, business development, or are you operations and in the details, and then finding your match to help augment the rest.
Yeah, that's such great advice. I mean, we talked about, advisors or insurance agents and not knowing the gaps in their knowledge, or their gaps in their skill set. But really, that's any business owner, right? They might be really good at doing the thing that they're selling, but they're not good at selling, or they're really good at selling the thing, but they're not good at running the business. So I think that's huge. And you said you're basically bootstrapped anyway, right? So you've been conservative in your approach, and it's starting to pay off, and you've built it to where now your revenue can sustain your team, can sustain your business partner. You're not worried about debt and things like that, and so it sounds like you're in a really good place to launch and to start achieving the goals in the near future. So I love it. That's awesome stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
I guess one more question, and it's not part of the list I sent you, but you mentioned you felt a calling from God to do certain aspects of your business, right? So, I guess my question would be, what is the role of faith in your business and in your approach to how you're running your company?
Yeah. It's one of our values. Our values are excellence, faith, family, generosity, and growth. It's the foundation of our company. We open every team meeting in prayer. I have a chief prayer officer that does a weekly prayer optional with our team, but we'll pray for everyone on our team, with everyone on our team. We have a Bible college, that we have 30 Bible college students. We pay their room, board, and tuition for school, and they pray for our company and our clients and our candidates for an hour every day. So faith and prayer are huge.
30,
They're in India, and we meet with them once a month and just share
wow.
testimonies of what God's done. I mean, it is everything in our company.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, great stuff. So that's, that's your motivation, right? That's your motivation for what you're trying to build. And I love that. I mean, a lot of people are scared to mix faith with business, but that's one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur. And you're not requiring people to show up to your prayer meetings, right? But it's like, hey, I think that just brings a cohesion and aligns your values so much more, right? Because you're doing things on a more fundamental level, and it builds a certain purpose. There's a theological term, telos, which is like the end result, the goal. And it's like, what is the end result, the goal that we're working towards, And if it's beyond, hey, we're just trying to make some money here, it adds so much more meaning and value to everybody's work. So I hope that pays dividends in your company, and I applaud you for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So why don't you leave off here just kind of telling us, how can people find you if someone's watching this and they're curious about, getting hooked up with you? Maybe just tell us about, where do they find you, and maybe just a recap on what you can do for these people.
Yeah, so we help growth stage independent wealth management firms get the talent that they need to grow. So a stat I didn't share with you earlier, Sean. The industry is growing. The assets under management is growing by 3 times as much as the talent is growing. So that's affecting client service is getting affected, right? Balls are getting dropped. Technology is not filling that gap. And so we're there to help the firms that are really serious in developing the human capital on their team to take care of their clients and getting you the best people for that. And so our website is thewell.solutions. You can find the Well Recruiting Solutions on LinkedIn. Most of our available posts are on there. I'm on LinkedIn all the time, Steve Perry. Feel free to message me. And yeah, I'm happy to connect with anybody.
Awesome. Well, thanks again so much, Steve, for taking the time out to be on this, and best wishes into 2026 and accomplishing your goals that you have and building your team. And it was great chatting with you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Sean.
All right.